Hey YouTube, Twig here, bringing you all an update to my Gishki Yugioh deck profile for post the September 2020 ban list. With the latest ban list, we are given full power to the Gishki Kraken engine build for the Gishki deck. It's a really awesome card that I never got to see full play with because I believe this card was hit to 1 immediately when it was released from the Hidden Arsenal 6, which was definitely quite a while ago. This card added so much strength to the Gishki deck that it was incorporated into the Heretic deck and a bunch of other different ritual decks, even just being a one-of tech in most Gishki decks up until now. And my main focus in the Gishki decks were, Yugioh, but now with Kraken at 3, I wanted to try out a deck profile that focuses on just this card alone and some of the other strengths of going with a pure as I can Gishki build. So let's go ahead and get started with the deck profile. So for the ritual monsters, like I said before, back at full power, I run 3 Gishki Kraken. You can ritual summon this card with any Gishki ritual spell. When this card is ritual summoned, look up to 2 random cards in your opponent's hand, then shuffle one of them into the deck. So you're not discarding cards from their hand. You're not, just banishing. You are completely removing this card from the field in total by shuffling it back into your opponent's deck. They won't get any graveyard effects off of that card. Being able to use Kraken and then, ritual summon into another Kraken if you have the materials available is what makes this card so powerful. And I'm so glad that it's back at 3 just to test out all these different play styles. Being able to, just have your opponent's hand down to so many little cards when it comes their turn makes this a definite going first deck as well with the strength you can do overall with just 3 Gishki Kraken. I still am a fan of running at least to the 4 rituals, so I also run the 1 Gishki Mind August. It cannot be normal summoned or set. It must first be ritual summoned, and you can ritual summon this card with any Gishki ritual spell. When this card is ritual summoned, target up to 5 cards in any graveyards, shuffle those targets into the deck. So if your opponent does have some graveyard setup, Mind August comes in handy. For that, this card is still at 1 though on the ban list, so we have to make do with just the 1 of. But like I said, the main playstyle in the deck is the 3 Gishki Kraken, so that is our main thing to rely on. But the fact that Mind August is also a level 6 monster means you can go for Xyz plays with the 2 of them, because once you use their effects, there's really no other purpose to it, and setting up Kraken in the graveyard makes it that much easier to recycle it also. For some of the other power cards in the deck, I also run 3 Gishki Shadow. This and Vision are 2 of your searchers in the deck. If you ritual summon a water ritual monster, this card can be used as the entire tribute, and you can discard this card to add 1 Gishki ritual spell card from your deck to your hand. So with that, you have the search power just by discarding Gishki Shadow to the graveyard. You'll have the search for your Gishki spell, which is Aquamir, the main go-to spell card in the deck. And we don't have that big of a fear for, Call by the Grave. We do still have the Ash Blossom stop with this card, but, the fact that they won't banish the Gishki Shadow means that you can have still attempts with other shadows you open up with in your hand, and just the option to summon it back onto the field with cards like Gishki Beast to use for the cost of the ritual play. And as we spoke of before, I also run the 3 Gishki Vision. Just like Gishki Shadow, it can be used as the entire tribute for the ritual summon of a water monster. And you can also discard it to add a Gishki ritual monster from your deck to your hand, being search power for the ones we spoke of already in the video. So you definitely want to run 3 Vision and 3 Shadow for all the search power with these cards. None of them are once per turns either, so you can add them back to your hand to recycle all of these search plays all over again. And for even more of these search plays, I run 3 Gishki Abyss. When this card is summoned, you can add 1 Gishki monster with 1,000 or less defense from your deck to your hand, except for Gishki Abyss. So with that, you have the option to search out Kraken being 1,000 defense, which is that much scarier, or you can go for any of the search cards, including Vision and Shadow using this card, and Gishki Abyss only has to be summoned, so you can even summon it off from the graveyard and then get that search power. It's not a once per turn either, so if you use Gishki Abyss for, let's say, a Link summon, and then have it set up in the graveyard again, you have the option to summon it back onto the field for reuse of this card once again with that play. It's a very strong card. It doesn't help as much for the ritual setup, but just the search power alone is why I like to run 3 of this card in my pure Gishki deck for sure. And then for the last of the Gishki monsters, I run 3 Gishki Beast. When this card is normal summon, you can target one level 4 lower Gishki monster in your graveyard, special summon that target in face-up defense position. So any of the monsters you go for. If you go for Gishki Abyss, you'll get your search right then and there. And beforehand, when I would summon Abyss, I didn't really have any other options to go for. So I would have to rely on just keeping this card for, which can now be the potential ritual play since they do equal out to level 6. But you also have the option for a Link to Link summon if you have all the other options available for the ritual plays. You can even summon back Vision or Shadow, both having the options for then counting as the whole ritual cost on the field for your Gust Kraken or Mind August. So 3 Beasts just gives you more and more resources on the field for sure. I had some rank 4s in the extra deck beforehand, but with how I switched things around, I swapped them out and mostly just go for the Link summons when I use Gishki Beast. I don't really rely on the rank 4s as much. Maybe if Lava Ball Chain ever comes off the ban list, it'll be a potential rank 4 slot for this deck, but until then, I'm keeping it as more of a Link play deck, and then focusing just on the rank 6 Xyz monsters for the extra deck. And then for some of the other non-Gishki monsters, I run 2 Butunable Princess. With this one, it is a level 1 fish monster. When it's normal or special summon, you can banish this card to special summon 1 level 4 lower fish type monster from your deck, except for Butunable Princess. You can only use this effect once per turn. This is to get out the only fish that we're running in the deck, which is our Gishki Abyss. Being a fish monster, we can summon it out onto the field, and since it can be normal or special summon to get the search, it's just another way to thin out the deck and search out whatever else we need in our hand to use. So Beautiful Princess is great for that option for the search power, because it is also a 1-for-1 option, being able to summon it out from the deck when it's special summon, banishing it, and then getting another search from that. And then also to finish off the monsters, I run 2 Deep Sea Diva. When this card is normal summon, you can special summon 1 level 2 or lower Sea Serpent type monster from your deck. The one I go to for this one is Gishki Vision, being another summon for the play to have the ritual cost for Gust Kraken taken care of once Vision is on the field, because Deep Sea Diva doesn't negate the effects of any of the monsters we summon. It just sets them up on the field for us to use, and it even gives us options for synchro plays, being a tuner for that, being able to get out Herald of the Arclight especially, which works very, very well for ritual plays using Deep Sea Diva and Gishki Vision on the field. I only run the 2 though. I was mixing and matching the numbers with Beautiful Princess and decided that 2 and 2 was the best. We're not focusing too much on the Sea Serpent monsters aside from Deep Sea Diva and Gishki Vision in the deck, so I thought that that was enough for the whole setup for the monster count. And that is it for the monsters. We'll now move on to the spells. The main ritual spell in the deck is Gishki Aquamir. This card is used to ritual summon Gishki ritual monsters. You must also tribute monsters from your field or your hand whose total levels equal the level of the ritual monster you ritual summon. And you can return this card from the graveyard to the deck to select one Gishki ritual monster in your graveyard and return it to the hand. So with this, if you have the resources, you can recycle Gust Kraken back into your hand and then potentially research out Aquamir, summoning it out all over again, and then just, dwindling down your opponent's hand more and more depending on what they have set up in their hand. So 3 of this is just an easy way to, add it to your hand. You can rely on Shadow to search it out, you name it. As long as your opponent doesn't DD Crow it in the graveyard, you can even then recycle it back into the deck to reuse. One of the newer spells, which I've definitely taken a liking to using in the deck, is Extra Foolish Burial. Since this isn't the Zealgaigus build, we don't really use life points at all for any of our plays, so relying on Extra Foolish Burial, you pay half your life points to send one monster from your extra deck to the graveyard. You can only activate 1 Extra Foolish Burial per turn. You cannot set spell or traps during the turn you activate this card. We don't have any traps in the deck, so setting isn't really the playstyle we go for, but being able to send Herald of the Arclight just gives us more search options, because if this card is sent to the graveyard, you can add 1 ritual monster or ritual spell from your deck to your hand. So just count this as an extra spot for searching out any of the ritual spell or monsters we may need. If you open up with, let's say, Aquamir or vice versa, one of your ritual monsters, you can rely on Extra Foolish Burial to get you the other card you need at just the cost of some life points also. And I also run 3 Salvage. Now with this, it just adds back monsters for you to reuse with 1500 or less attack, and that will count Gishki Vision, Gishki Shadow, also Abyss, and also right at the end, Beast, depending on what you have in your graveyard. Most of the time I like to add back Vision and Shadow, because then you can just discard them again to search out the ritual monster and the spell. And Salvage isn't a once per turn, so if you have multiples of this and you send Vision and Shadow, activate it, add them back, get your search, then activate another Salvage, adding adding them back to your hand again and getting another search from there. So it's definitely 3 of, in my opinion, for the deck, just for overall recycle power from the graveyard. I also run 3 Preparation of Rites. You add 1 level 7 or lower ritual monster from your deck to your hand, then you can add 1 ritual spell from your graveyard to your hand. So if you don't want to place the Aquamirror back into your deck to use, Preparation of Rites is a great search power card because, unlike Zealgigas, which was a level 10 monster, we're not limited to that since they're all level 6, and an easy search for Preparation of Rites, just giving us more options with this and extra Foolish Burial in the deck to add cards to our hand. And sometimes we could just have too many, let's say, of a particular monster, like if we open up too many Deep Sea Divas or too many Gishki Beasts, rely on Moray of Greed to shuffle back 2 water monsters from our hand into the deck to draw 3 cards. It's also, once again, not a once per turn, but we can just get hopefully better cards from that draw relying on this recycle card for our water monsters that we use. And then for some of the other lower numbers in the deck, I run 2 Surface. This, you target a level 3 or lower fish, sea serpent, or aqua type monster in your graveyard and special summon it in defense position. You can go for Gishki Abyss. It's normally my favorite Gishki monster to summon with this card because then you'll get the search. But if you need be, you can get Deep Sea Diva being a tuner monster, or even Gishki Vision being the requirements for a lot of your ritual plays also. And then for some of the one-ofs, I run the 1 for 1. This is for the Beautiful Princess to summon out, and then use the special summon search. 1 monster reborn, more resources with Gishki Abyss, just like the surface cards, or if need be, you can get any of the other monsters you have set up in your graveyard. 1 Call by the Grave, still trying the one-of tech, and I am enjoying it as a one-of spot. Whenever you open it up, it definitely can come in handy. And the 1 Foolish Burial, more monster setup in the graveyard to use. Like, let's say we open up Gishki Beast and have the Foolish Burial, we can use Foolish Burial to send the Abyss to the graveyard, summon Beast, and then summon Abyss back to the field and gain an additional search with that card. So all of those for the one-ofs definitely do help with search and setup, and that is it for the main deck. We'll now move on to the extra deck. I have 2 Herald of the Arclight. I know I run 3 of the extra Foolish Burial in the deck. If you wanted to run 3 of this card, I'll show what you can take out for a 3rd copy of Herald of the Arclight. It's just really player preference at that point, but this card is just in the deck to be sent to the graveyard with extra Foolish Burial. Nonetheless, you can still summon it if you use Deep Sea Diva and summon out Gishki Vision to go for that play there, but then you're stuck with this on the field, which is a negation against your opponent, and then having that search option for the ritual plays. You just can't do it really a lot of the times on the same turn. You summon it out unless you attack into one of your opponent's monsters, but then you have that search power to go for from there also. For some of the other synchros, I run the 1 Bryonic, being a water monster and just level 6 with Gishki Beast and Deep Sea Diva. It definitely can be made quite easily in the deck, but one of the easier ones to summon out is Borreload Savage Dragon. With our level 6 ritual monsters and Deep Sea Diva, we meet the requirements for this synchro, and if we link summon, it just is all the better later in the game, because then we can equip it onto this card and have more negations in the deck to use. For our Xyz monsters, being rank 6, we're my preferred one to go to, because once you use Mind August and Gust Kraken, one of the easiest ways to recycle those cards is to Xyz with them and set them in the graveyard. So 1 Constellar Ptolemy M7, 1 Gauntlet Launcher, and 1 Photon Strike Bouncer. Negation, Bounce, and Destruction are all the requirements for these 3 cards. That's why I prefer them as my rank 6 monsters in the deck to use. For the Link monsters, I am running 2 Miss Starboy, great Link monster to power up our water monsters around the deck and to recycle other resources in our graveyard back into our hand to reuse. The 1 Marine Cess, Coral Anemone. For this one, being able to special summon to a zone this card points to makes it all the better. Once again, resources, Gishki Abyss, summoning out to the field. 1 Area, the Water Charmer, more water requirements with this card. 1 Cross Sheep, the discard 2, draw 2 with this when you ritual summon to a zone it points to. Makes me really like to summon this card out with Gishki Beast and Abyss, and then summon the ritual monster and set up more cards in my graveyard to recycle. Also the 1 Nightmare Cerberus, 1 Nightmare Phoenix, and the 1 Nightmare Unicorn are pretty much staple, just if I need those options to destroy or take care of anything my opponent may have on the field additionally. And as for the go-to plays, I spoke of a lot of them during the game, but depending on whether or not you open up the Gishki Aquamir or the Ritual Monster will determine what you send with your extra Foolish Burial, sending the Herald of the Arclight to get the required search for any of the other ones, and then you'll just have to have the rest of the ritual requirements, which can be in the form of Vision and Shadow in your hand as well. But also remember that these could initially be the searches for both of these cards, and then you can just simply add them back to your hand with cards like Salvage to reuse again, thinning out the deck for more of your searches while also giving you more ritual monsters. And then one of my favorite plays to rely on is which we spoke of, the Deep Sea Diva play, being able to summon out Gishki Vision, and then whether or not you want to use the Aquamir to use the Vision for the entire ritual summon of your Gust Kraken makes it so then you have the shuffle set up with your opponent, but then you can use Deep Sea Diva and Eva Gishki Gust Kraken to go into your Borreload Savage Dragon, which is a great late game play. It takes care of a card in your opponent's hand, and then you can equip on the Link monster you may have played onto this card as well for that option by just equipping a Link monster in the graveyard and gaining those counters. And also, just for more setup, if you go with the Gishki Beast play, summoning this card out will give you the Gishki Abyss from the graveyard once it's set up there. Being able to search out whatever you need, whether it be Vision or Shadow, if you have the other ritual requirement in your hand already, so whichever one you search off of Abyss, having those cards set up in your hand, you can then link for 2 with your 2 monsters on the field, going for the Miss Starboy, and then being able to summon out with Aquamir using Vision as the entire tribute for Gust Kraken will not only give you the shuffle back of a card in your opponent's hand, but also power it up with Miss Starboy, putting this card at a 2900 attack point monster to attack your opponent as well. But that is it for the deck profile. I hope you all enjoy the video. Like I said, this is definitely one of my favorite decks. It's been a while since we made one that doesn't focus on Zeolgagus, but I was definitely excited to with the latest ban list. And I hope you all enjoyed the video as well. Until next time, please don't forget to leave a like and subscribe. And Kira, Twig out.